Thank you very much, David. If we could just jump forward to slide 4, that'd be great. I've put a fair bit more into this deck for people to take a look at a later point. I'm only going to talk briefly to 10 slides. First five slides will be about really who we are and the types of markets we're serving and some of our technology and some of the signature clients and deals that we have. And then the other 5 will focus on our financial performance over the last few years and our growth story. Look, in a nutshell, Etherstack is an established technology business that is profitable. It's growing rapidly. We're debt-free, and we have a very strong recurring revenue base, representing 30 or 40% of our overall revenues just being earned before we get out of bed every morning, which is great. The company is twice as large offshore as it is onshore. We have research and development groups in Manhattan, Reading in the UK, Yokohama in Japan. It's been established there for 15 years. And also our primary R&D group in Chippendale in Sydney Fringes. We specialise in an area of wireless communications called digital land mobile radio, or essential mission critical push to talk. These types of radio networks don't really encounter a lot of them in your life, but they're pretty essential for everything that we do. Police, fire, ambulance, security services, defence organisations, electric utilities. We have a raft of electric utility customers around the world who are clients. So that they sort of form the public safety and the utility sector. And we also have a good exposure to the resources industry for public safety networks or employee safety networks on large resource projects in terms of lots of automated vehicles moving around and other bits and pieces. It's absolutely essential that everyone keeps safe and no one gets hurt. And obviously the added benefit of that is maximising uptime on resource projects. We just go to the next slide. So the 3 sort of grouping areas that we work in. The digital land mobile radio industry on the left-hand side is a $20 billion a year market, dominated by a handful of major players around the world, a couple of North American and several European, and a number of smaller mid-tier players. This area we have been working in for many years, licensing technology to wireless equipment manufacturers, handset and mobile manufacturers in Japan like Kenwood, ICOM, switching vendors in the US, Cisco, defense organizations. And it's really this traditional digital land mobile radio business that is essential for providing the public services that people expect, as well as keeping the lights on with the electric utilities. That is our sort of our key growth area that has been propelling our growth and our profitability in recent years. There are 2 big trends coming along that will be affecting this market. The middle box here is what we call mission critical push to talk, or 4G or 5G cellular specialist devices that governments are hoping that they'll be able to leverage from the 4G, 5G spectrum that they have provided to carriers around the world, such as the Telstras, the AT&Ts, and so on. And that will have an impact in the urban areas. And we also have been for some years working on satellite push-to-talk solutions with the dramatic crashing in bandwidth price as a result of the LEOs and MEOs going up there. We see also a trend to new products and technology in that area. If we just jump to slide 8, so skip three forward to bingo. So this traditional digital land mobile radio network area is extremely conservative. Almost all of our revenues here are government backed with extremely long support tails. Often these support contracts run for 10 to 15 years. And so if we take a look at clients like Ergon Energy, the state energy provider in Queensland, ATCO Electric in Alberta in Canada, 3 of Warren Buffett's first energy electric utilities, Jersey Central Power and Light, Allegheny Energy, Mon Power. These are all long-term customers of ours who we've sold the initial equipment in, very high margin equipment that's gone in there. And then we've got a very long support tail that goes, as I say, for about 10 to 15 years, typically is a minimum going forward. And it's that compound revenue growth of every time we put a new network in the ground, we get that extra revenue. I'll come up to a slide a little bit later as we come through, and you'll see how that's been able to really smooth out our revenues, drive profitability to Etherstack, and really unshackle us from a growth perspective going forward as well. Besides electric utilities and public safety, a raft of different defence organisations, and really a who's who of the world's defence and wireless equipment manufacturers. We jump forward to slide 11, which is 3. This is the change that's underway at the moment in the 4G and 5G space. This is an announcement related to an announcement we made with Samsung, who are distributing our technology into the carrier market globally. That deal we signed almost 2 years ago, and then last year we announced the first lead customer being AT&T, the world's largest telco. That was an $8.5 million US deal. We account in US dollars, and we have a 31 of December financial year end. That $8.5 million deal consists of about $6 million in US dollars in licensing, which is a very high margin, as well as the first 3 initial years of support in that initial package. But we expect, like all of our other networks in this space, for that support revenue just to continue on and on ad infinitum. And we're working with Samsung on quite a number of other carriers at the moment in different stages of maturity to get the next deals done. Go to the next slide, please, David. So the space that we're operating there in, there's an upfront licensing fee of circa $2 to $8 million for each carrier win that we get. There's 60 to 90 carriers that are likely to uptake this technology within the next 5 years within the OECD countries alone. That's that top left box. There are many more in the bottom right box around the world who will also get this technology, but our primary target in the short to medium term is the 60 to 90 carriers in developed countries with our partners such as Samsung, and hopefully new switching partners that we're hoping to get on board for the technology. We just jump forward to slide 17. We'll jump into some of the financials. And I'll just say that Etherstack has signed direct deals with both Samsung and AT&T, and they're the 18th and the 23rd largest company in the world by revenues. So we clearly have some reach and punch to get out and deliver around the world. These are the financial highlights for last year. Last year we had an 81% revenue growth to $8.5 million US dollars, 142% EBITDA growth. So 2.6 million USD on 8.5 million USD, about a 31% EBITDA margin. We repaid the last of our debt last year, so the company has no external debt, strong balance sheet. We made a net profit after tax of just shy of 2 million Australian dollars or 1.45 USD. And yet again, our year-on-year recurring revenues continue to increase and had fantastic positive operating cash flow for the 4th year in a row. Let's just jump to the next slide. That was, just these are sort of we entered the year with a fantastic solid pipeline for this year and next year. You can see some of the quality of the organisations that we're working with there. UK Ministry of Defence, Australian Department of Defence, Home Affairs here. If we move to the next slide, okay, you can see that in the last 4 years that we've been positive operating cash, positive EBITDA, and now we're really sort of starting to step up. Next slide along. This is really the hidden story or the real story of what's going on. Every time we get one of these networks in the ground, we get these recurring revenue support sort of being long-term recurring support revenues tacked in. So the more networks we've got, the more support revenues that we go. This is extremely high margin support revenue. These networks are designed not to stop. Once we've got the initial fixed base in North America, in Europe and Asia to provide that 24/7 support, all new networks and the support related to it drops directly to the bottom line. You'll also see that we have other recurring revenues, that's the blue part of the box, which are royalties that other companies pay us when they produce products with our technology in them. Sometimes they're a little bit lumpy due to minimum volume guarantees, but overall the trend is continuing upwards quite significantly. We would expect to see quite a jump in this recurring support revenue in 2023 when the AT&T support revenue, which is estimated to be approximately $850,000 USD, kicks in at that point in time. Okay, one more slide, and then I'll throw the floor open to any questions. That's just the look at the revenue and gross margin, about 70% across the board. If we just leave it on slide 29, thanks, David. I'll answer some questions. One more, I think. Two more. One more. Bingo. Okay, great. Thanks, David.
David, a great presentation. I've got a question. So you play in a global space, and some would say, a small Australian company playing in a global space and taking on these much larger players in the wireless communication space. How are you able to compete and win?
Oh, look, it's all the usual ways that people win and compete, which is by providing a better product, superior support, and at a much better cost benefit for the end customer at the end of the day. The biggest barrier to getting into the market is it's just such a conservative market. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, before they gave us our first network order, had only purchased public safety radio networks from two major vendors besides us in the previous 30 years. So when you sort of crack, one federal policing agency in Canada, that makes it easier to do the state, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the State Department in the US. It's very much win, reputation, and then ensuring that we deliver.
And I suppose that conservatism is hard to crack into, but once you're in, you're embedded and can be embedded for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very difficult space to get into. But these types of networks that they put in the ground, as I say, typically have a lifespan of 15 plus years. So they're big infrastructure projects like Ergon Energy's in Queensland. That's 126 tower sites and microwave linking sections across all of Queensland just to host our technology inside these repeater sites and the core network site. Once you capture those clients, that's why those recurring support revenues are not falling away and just continuing to grow. 28% compound average growth rate over the past 7 years.
So a good question here from the audience, and they're all good questions, by the way. How does the sales process work? So, and I know it must differ from one organisation to another, but can you step us through the sort of gestation period and how the process works? And is it tender? Is it knocking on doors? Is it a mixture of everything?
Yeah, no, very, very good question. The process for government radio networks is a typical bid process, RFIs, RFTs, evaluation, and they're often 18, 24-month processes. So things that we're working on today, we know won't get awarded for another 2 years' time from now in those sectors. And so we've got a combination of growth from adding growth onto the existing networks that we have, plus we're winning more networks, and then wins beget wins from a reputational perspective. We also then have two other faster trends occurring. One is in the utilities and in the resources sector, where they move somewhat faster than in a more commercial manner than some of the public safety agencies going forward. So we've got our first Pilbara win in May 2020, I think it was, for a major iron ore provider. We're now 6 awards later, totaling $2.3 million in almost exactly 2 years. And then besides that equipment we're shipping, we're obviously also then going to get the 15 to 20% per annum pull-through revenue, compound growth going on new wins that we get in the ground, as well as the recurring revenue that comes through. So the shortest wins really are 6 to 9 months. It's just it's a conservative industry. These are big infrastructure projects, but we're delivering. Our customers like the product, and they're coming back for more.
Once you're in. So, like you say, it positively impacts your compounding revenue. And I suppose another part of that question is, so you've got an understanding of your pipeline. You can see it out 9, 12, 24 months. Do you have a feel now, based on the history you've created, of, we know what's in our pipeline, therefore we know X% roughly is what we'll probably get?
Yeah, look, certainly. And, I think we're very confident with the existing growth that we have from our traditional digital land mobile radio business. But this new 5G MCX, or mission critical switch, push to talk space, this is where we've now got Samsung out acting effectively as a Salesforce multiplier for us, in that, they've got people talking to 100 telcos around the world, as they're trying to put in their 5G technology into those carriers. At the same time they're trying to put in that 5G technology to their carriers, they're pulling through our new mission critical technology, push to talk technology for public safety, for agencies that those carriers serve. So that initial win last year of $8.5 million USD, we're certainly hoping to see Samsung and other future partners replicate that win rate up quite substantially and quite quickly.
Great presentation. I will leave you with one last question from the floor. And what are the key messages you'd like to leave us all with?
Look, it's we're a profitable, debt-free, growing Australian technology company. We have fantastic accounts. Reads like a who's who of the world's technology players and defence and public safety agencies. I think it's just a really exciting time for Etherstack going forward, and that recurring revenue, at the end of the day, that's really what's setting us free from a profitability and a positive operating cash perspective.
David, a great presentation, working in a really interesting space with some big players as your partners and clients. Exciting times ahead. Thanks for your time.
Really appreciate it, David. Thank you very much.